Hangin with Mr. Douglas. Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Hangin' with Mr. Douglas time with Mr. Douglas. And you that's hanging with Mr. Douglas. Is it always this hard? Boy, that's really easy to get tripped up on.
It's a
Thank you for hanging. It's great to have you here. On this episode, we go into the mindsets of success, happiness, and more with takeaways from the book Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Welcome to Hangin' with Mr. Douglas. That kind of shaped up at the end there, don't you think?
I don't know. We're trying some things. I appreciate it. It was good. Way to get to it. Way to get through
Oh,
it.
come on now. I know we're trying some things, but that wasn't so bad.
We're still molding. We're still shaping the clay.
And was the energy good? Was the delivery
But
up?
we'll go over it. We'll go over it in detail later.
Fine. I'm gonna have some more root beer.
All right, everybody. Well, welcome back. It is good to be with you today. Woo! The last Ingo Swan session was certainly a wild ride. And as a mini update, I ordered a magnet. It's coming in the mail. All I need, really, is a wooden stool or chair and that glass base. And a string, I guess, to hang the magnet on. But yeah, it's
Bro, are you
coming
serious?
together.
You're like, oh my God, that's
Oh,
close, bro.
jeez.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's Balti said he was going to do it. Yes, but as it is right now, we're going to be stepping back from the psychic, specific, subtle system stuff
What?
per se.
Wait a
Bro,
minute.
you just teased us with that, and then
Hold on.
now we're...
Hey.
That's a little bit of a whiplash maneuver.
I
heard you were talking about psychic stuff. I'm here for that.
We're going to be moving into mindset now.
Mindset? Does that have to do with Psy?
Yes, it does. I mean, in that we're, discussing ways in which we can have the most optimal mindset to empower ourselves individually via psi and other subtle, innate talents that we all have within us. And there's some nice gems in here. That's why I'm doing this episode. So again, it's not like direct, like, now we're talking about Cyballs. Even though, we did kind of talk about that. We're laying a foundation. We're going through the garden, and we're getting into the soil.
Okay, I'd buy it too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here for it.
That's right, and hey, the path is not a straight one.
Oh, for sure.
Mhm.
But it's a path of switchbacks and turns and curly cues.
Exactement.
You know it.
Preach.
Yeah, whatever. I'm here for the journey.
Yeah, bro, it's an
options,
adventure.
like, more opportunity, right?
This episode, as Guy did mention, is all about takeaways from the book Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And the briefest of preambles, Maxwell Maltz was a surgeon, I believe, a plastic surgeon, in the 1960s and 70s. And he kept seeing people come in who were gorgeous and saying,
Oh, I feel ugly.
and he'd ask him what was wrong, say, oh, my nose, or something. And he could say, there's nothing wrong with their nose. These are beautiful people. But they, for whatever reason, had this perception that they were unlovable as long as they retained their particular physical appearance. And he also came to notice that whether or not he made any kind of significant change to the issue presented to him as a plastic surgeon, the mindset of the people, because they went through this experience, the mindset would change to such a significant degree that he couldn't help but take notice. They would be alleviated from their previous stress of feeling their perceived ugliness.
Oh, man, it's so beautiful.
And he was like, I put you under for 30 minutes. Basically, he came to the tentative conclusion that it was something inbuilt in us that, were we to affect in any significant way, would change us at a fundamental level and our perception of our reality. Then this is just another avenue in which to engage with ourselves, to personally empower ourselves. What's better than having at your very base the most optimal outlook for yourself and the world around you?
I will okay if you put it like that.
That's
but,
totally
yes.
You're making a lot of sense right now.
Sure.
And I just watched this TED Talk. It was like a TED Plus talk, those on the fringes TED Talks. But it was really interesting, and the guy made a really interesting point. Hold on one second, I gotta find out what that dude's name was and what the TED Talk was. I'll be right back.
Where are you going?
He's gonna go find out that name.
Ah, okay.
Here he comes.
All right, so the title was How to Eliminate Self-Doubt Forever and the Power of Your Unconscious Mind. Something sage. Oh, hold on.
No, bro, that's okay.
Hey, you gotta admit he's dedicated.
Does this happen often?
I wanted to say Petra Sage for whatever reason, but it's Peter Sage. That's the dude's name.
Okay, maybe I'll look it up, maybe I won't.
Life coach, entrepreneurial coach, mindset coach.
Regardless, appreciate.
Anyway, he gives a really good talk. It's like 18 minutes. I think it's TEDx Petras. I think that's why. Peter Sage breaks it down and asks the question, when he posits his first position, I don't watch news. I don't really pay attention to the societal programming coming at you as much as he possibly can. I was like, I don't do that because I don't want that in me. That does not produce good results for me. And his rebuttal to himself was, but how are you finding out what's going on? How are you able to find out and stay on top of topical, current events? And his response to that was, well, look around, everything's going on. Absolutely everything is going on. It's what you choose to focus on. Take the Amazon jungle, for instance. Everything is going on in the Amazon jungle. The equivalent of what, according to Peter Sage, and I would tend to agree, what the modern media seems to want to do is, if we were all existing in the Amazon jungle, it would take its focus beam and have us pay attention to the snake eating the rat, or the alligator eating the monkey. Some dude running through the rainforest breaks his ankle, starves to death.
Ooh, getting hungry.
Heavy. No good, right? But the media would want us to look at that and go, oh my goodness, this is what the rainforest is. When really, you could look up and go, wait, no, look, there's a young hummingbird learning how to fly just after it hatched. You got birds doing their mating dances. That's a good time.
Tell those birds throw down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's loud.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the jungle.
Oh, it's nice. Yeah. But anyway, the point is, everything's going on. It's what you choose to focus on. And it is that power of focus, of willful choosing to place your attention somewhere that we've discussed here previously. We go way, way back. I went through The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. We've also gone through some Neville Goddard material. These run quite parallel, quite close to each other when it comes to this particular point of that baseline power of attention and how that sets up a kind of feedback loop for how we then perceive and engage with our surroundings, interior and exterior. And that's where we are going to hit upon some choice notes from Psycho-Cybernetics. And away we go.
And away we go.
Nope.
Oh, it wasn't.
It's
I thought.
all right. Away we go.
Away we go.
Yeah. Okay. Away we go.
Away we go.
The first quote I pulled from the book is from page 65, and it starts, "Your automatic mechanism, or what the Freudians call the unconscious, is absolutely impersonal. It operates as a machine and has a will of its own. It always tries to react appropriately to your current beliefs and interpretations concerning environment. It always seeks to give you appropriate feelings and to accomplish the goals which you consciously determine upon. It works only upon the data which you feed it in the form of ideas, beliefs, interpretations, opinions. It is conscious thinking which is the control knob of your unconscious machine. It was by conscious thought, though perhaps irrational and unrealistic, that the unconscious machine developed its negative and inappropriate reaction patterns. And it's by conscious, rational thought that the automatic reaction patterns can be changed." Again, that's all from page 65. And now just some rapid-fire Maxwell Maltz points, bouncing off that setup that we've built here for ourselves of understanding that it's the unconscious machine in these terms. that is kind of building up our ideas, beliefs, interpretations, and opinions, and that it is our control knob or dial, slider, of conscious thinking that affects the unconscious machine. And I gotta be honest, I kind of like the idea of dial or slider a little bit better. In my experience, there's like a little bit of a delay, right?
Well, yeah.
I see where you're going.
Because like you put the input and there's a bit of a delay in between the input and the output.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, that's the basic idea. Conscious thought, after a few ticks on the dial, after a few pushes on the slider, a few taps, will in effect guide the unconscious machine to shape some set or form of ideas, beliefs, interpretations, and opinions. Some ways to optimize or at least attempt to interact with this kind of system in a very beneficial way, Maxwell Maltz tells us to act as if it were impossible to fail. And that, at first blanch, is like, what, are you crazy?
Yeah, you crazy? I mean,
People
that's...
fail all the time.
Speak for yourself. But like, no, consider for a moment that if you were to define what failure is, you could very easily set yourself up to never fail.
Bon.
Because what is failing? Failing really is stopping trying,
Yes.
is giving up.
Okay.
That's failing. That's failing. It's
Oui.
resigning yourself to this current state of inability to perform at the level in which you've aspired to.
All right.
In some form or fashion, right? It's just stopping.
Mais oui.
And so if you stop, you fail. But if you never stop,
I mean, it's not like I'm not on board.
if you're always in some form or fashion moving towards some goal or attempting to reach some kind of expression or performance, and as long as you just don't stop,
Oui.
I mean, you could do something for 2 minutes a day, 1 minute a day, not even every day, as long as you just don't stop, then you haven't failed.
Okay.
That's huge to me.
Ah, mon Dieu.
So if you act as if it were impossible to fail, in other words, it's just impossible for you to stop, for you to give up. It's impossible for you to give up.
Oui.
That's different than just taking a rest
Oui.
Okay.
and like putting pause and coming back later.
Yeah, okay.
But if it's just you not giving up, then that is a pretty, I would say, those stones are pretty placed close together to cross that river. You know what I'm saying? You can act as if it were impossible to fail. That's not that hard.
I get it. I'm with you.
Next little tip from Maxwell Maltz: ideas are changed not by will alone, but by other ideas. This is just expose yourself to ideas. Get your mind in that situation of considering ideas. It doesn't have to be ideas that are particularly smart at any given time. It's okay to expose yourself to dumb ideas and smart ideas. Hey, look, I watched Survivor for a long time. That's a fun show. There are some dumb ideas that come from some people and that show itself. There's also some pretty ingenious ideas, and that's okay. Never would have thought of those ideas.
Yeah, Survivor's pretty tight, okay?
Love that show.
No, I'm a big fan.
But ideas can change, not by forcing them to change, but by other ideas. Now, this third point I think is really interesting just to remember in ourselves when it comes to how we operate in the world and how we can best operate our control knob and inform our unconscious machine. But here, this quote is from page 71. Quote, Lecky found that there were two powerful levers for changing beliefs and concepts. There are standard convictions which are strongly held by nearly everyone. And there are two of them. So first one is the feeling or belief that one is capable of doing their share, holding up their end of the bargain, keeping up the end of the log, and exerting a certain amount of independence to complete that task. So, number one, deep down inside us all, there is a level of baseline competency that if we can't do it now, we can figure out how to do it. That's buried deep within us all. That whatever the problem, truly, whatever the problem, however many little chunks or steps it takes, you can get it done. Absolutely, I believe that. When the chips are down, there's something in us all, just consider like it the survival instinct. we're going to do whatever it takes to survive. Number 2, that there's something inside us which should not be allowed to suffer indignities.
Oh, what do you mean by indignities?
Explain yourself.
Taking offense.
Oh.
So I'm not taking offense.
Right or wrong, sensitive or not, it doesn't matter what the perception is. That's really interesting. There's something inside each and every one of us that goes, what did you just say? Excuse me?
Yeah, I've been
oh
there.
my God.
I mean, yeah, people can be nasty.
See? We all feel it. We all know what it's like. And I can tell you that I'm sure I've caused some people some undue consternation and frustration on the road. I'm not perfect by any means. But that's in all of us. How dare you cut in front of me? What do you think? Use your signal. Like, I know what that's like, So, and that right there is a perfect example how we react to the perception of shitty, selfish driving. But in terms of shaping our unconscious and how it will pump out that feedback loop of how we feel and opinionate about our environment and those within it, these 2 levers that we can basically do it as long as we are given the space and time to do it and are not overly micromanaged. And that also, hey, don't step on me. Don't cut me off. Don't treat me less than. That right there, those 2 things, those are kind of really baked in deep to all of us. And they express themselves in some form or fashion. Now, as I had mentioned, whether it's correct in your perception or not that you are being slighted or suffering indignities, that's another matter. There's a way to kind of keep yourself in check about feeling negative or having a frustrating, angry, shameful, sad, mean response to anything. And so now in shaping our beliefs and handling those 2 levers pretty well baked within us, there are ways to check to see whether or not our perceptions can hold water, if our perceptions are closer to the mark, or if we are maybe feeling a bit of our ego being bruised. Maxwell Maltz provides these 4 questions to ask ourselves. 1, is there any rational reason for such a belief? Do I have any reason to think that I have offended the person in the pasta aisle by leaning over a little bit and grabbing the rigatoni when they were maybe looking in the same spot? Is that rational to think that they're pissed at me? Did I just interrupt their entire weekend schedule? Did they come into the Trader Joe's? Oh, I can't wait to get that rigatoni. Oh, how many bags? I'm going to get them all. I'm buying all the bags. And I roll up and I'm just like, look, a bag. One bag that you're interested in. I'm taking it. Yep. And I actually invade their space partially to do so. So is it rational for me to consider that maybe they're pissed at me because I took a bag of rigatoni? I'm just going to go ahead and say no. I think that's a little bit, too much there. What are the chances that they're going to buy the entire supply of rigatoni? That's pretty low. Okay, number 2. So, right, a great way to check yourself. I'm not so worried in Trader Joe's as of yet. Number 2, could it be that I'm mistaken in this belief? And as we explored, high chances are that she's not going to buy every bag. And that while maybe me getting a little close to grab the rigatoni may have miffed her a bit, see a little eye twitch when I grab that bag. Is it to the point where I feel like threatened or recognize any kind of particular output of negativity directed specifically to me? To the point where it's like, oh, I made a boo-boo? No, I'm not getting any feedback. So could I be mistaken? Yeah, I think I could. I think there's a high probability that I could be mistaken. Number 3, Maxwell gives us, would I come to the same conclusion about some other person in a similar situation? If I were looking at all the bags of rigatoni and someone leaned over a little bit because I was in front of all the rigatoni, they couldn't get to it. So somebody leaned over and reached to grab the rigatoni, got in my space a little bit. It's like, oh, maybe I even wanted that bag. Would I be pissed? No, I would not. I can say that with confidence. What kind of a day have I been experiencing? So no, right?
That's some bad traffic.
That's a good one, though. Would I come to the same conclusion about some other person in a similar situation where the roles reversed? And number 4, why should I continue to act and feel as if this were true, if there's no good reason to believe it? How does behaving in this particular way, in reaction or supposed reaction, really it's an action you're choosing to take, how is that benefiting me in any particular way? Is it? Especially if there's really no good reason to behave this way. What are you holding on to, bro? Bro, I don't know. But those 4 questions are actually pretty good at checking yourself before you may wreck yourself. They are, is there any rational reason for such a belief? Could it be that I'm mistaken in this belief? Would I come to the same conclusion about some other person in a similar situation? And why should I continue to act and feel as if this were true if there's no good reason to believe it? It's a nice perspective putter, I would argue. I'm taking that with me to work. Now, this is that secret sauce ingredient that Neville Goddard really leans into, as does Joseph Murphy, but Neville Goddard really drives this home. This is from page 73, and this actually is this is now we're making a cake here. Because rational thought, quote, rational thought to be effective in changing belief and behavior must be accompanied by deep feeling and desire, unquote. You can't just think something and eventually, oh yeah, there it is. No, you gotta feel it. It's gotta be in you. Deep feeling and desire. Joe Dispenza talks about it. Joseph Murphy talks about it. Neville Goddard talks about it. Oh yes, Neville Goddard, live in the end, mais oui. If you are looking to change belief and behavior, if you're looking to lean into really believing that it's impossible for you to fail, then you've got to lean into that. What would it feel like if you and everything you did, no matter what you did, it was impossible for you to fail? No matter what.
That's a kind of wild ask, man. I don't know.
Gee, I never thought about that feeling.
What does that feel like? Even now, what would it feel like to feel as if it were impossible to fail? Bro, that's me every day. Anything you do, you're gonna get some kind of result back.
Yeah, I can wrap my head around that.
You're gonna get information that's going to inevitably, as long as you don't give up, get you a little bit closer to success, which is the absolute opposite of the direction of failure. Last time I checked.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Exciting. It does feel good.
Bro, it's like being in the zone, right? I get it. Now here's something to add on to that. A quote from Emile Coué. She says, always think of what you have to do as easy, and it will become so. That right there, that's using your conscious thinking control knob, your thought slider, informing your unconscious machine. If it is actually easy for me to never fail, woo, even better. And so you see, as we move forward with this information, this position of putting yourself in the mindset that can feel lighter, bigger, brighter, and more readily able to take all your potential and move it into action to build momentum, that right there is a very good place to be. Next quote, this one from page 77. Only by trusting and acting do we receive signs and wonders. In short, conscious rational thought selects the goal, gathers the information, concludes, evaluates, estimates, and starts the wheels in motion. It is not, however, responsible for results. Leave results to take care of themselves. It starts the wheels in motion, but you got to keep those wheels moving. Again, because he does say only by trusting and acting do we receive signs and wonders. Trust that your thoughts of impossibility to fail situation mindset are in effect 100% true, and act on that in whatever particular avenue you wish to. And here Maxwell Maltz is saying we will receive signs and wonders by this recipe. But conscious thought alone is not responsible for results. Results will unfurl once you get rolling. Now, one way to discuss to get rolling is to release your creative energy. And Maxwell Maltz here has 5 rules for freeing your creative energy. And this first one's interesting. It comes with a little bit of a story. Number 1 is do your worrying before you place your bets or make your decision, not after the wheels start turning. And this all from pages 84 and 85. Let's give him like a gruff 1940s, 50s businessman sound. Quote, I am indebted to a business exec whose weakness was roulette, but the above expression, which worked like magic in healing him to overcome his worry, and at the same time made him function more creatively and successfully. I happen to quote to him the advice of William James, to the effect that emotions of anxiety have their place in planning and deciding upon a course of action, but that once that decision is reached and execution is the order of the day, dismiss absolutely all responsibility and care about the outcome. Unclamp, in a word, your intellectual and practical machinery and let it run free. Maxwell Maltz then chimes in, then I got to thinking that I myself had been doing the exact same thing in my business and personal life. I often made decisions or embarked upon courses of action without adequate preparation, without considering all the risks involved and the best possible alternative. But after I had set the wheels in motion, so to speak, I continually worried over how it would come out, whether I had done the right thing or I made a decision right then and there that I would do all of my worrying, all of my forethinking before a decision was made. And that after making a decision and setting the wheels in motion, I would dismiss absolutely all care or responsibility about the outcome. And believe it or not, it works. I not only feel better, sleep better, and work better, but my business is running much smoother. So that was number 1 for freeing your creative energy. Consider the decision, chew on that decision, look at all the angles, but once you're ready to make that decision, make it and go.
Right. Schedule the freak out time, freak out, figure it out, and go. I can do that. Bro, purposeful freaking out helps clear the mind.
Scheduled reaction freak out time. Yeah.
Well, you make it deliberate.
2. And here's a good one for you actors. Form the habit of consciously responding to the present moment. This from page 88, quote, this becoming more aware of what is happening now and attempting to respond only to what is happening now has almost magical results in relieving the jitters. The next time you feel yourself tensing up or becoming jittery and nervous, pull yourself up short and say, what is there here and now that I should respond to, that I can do something about? A great deal of nervousness is caused from unwittingly trying to do something that can't be done here or now.
Well, so, okay, freak out beforehand, but when you're in the moment, just focus on the moment.
Sure, bro, what can you do right now? Like he said. You want to do anything, you don't have to if you don't want to. Let's not forget that.
Sure. It's always a choice.
Number 3, try to do only one thing at a time. From page 90, quote, even on the busiest day, the crowded hours come to us one moment at a time. No matter how many problems or strains we face, they always come to us single file, which is the only way they can come, unquote. That, I know, it can feel different than that, but in terms of just existing in the perpetual now, it is all that we truly have. So what can you do right now, in this moment, to either work on or handle the issue in which you are concerned with? Can there be something right now that you can do? If there is, go do it. If not, we go to number 4. He says, sleep on it. Which, hey, look, I'll be the first to say, not an always easy thing to say, especially when your mind is going and going and going. But then again, you got to go back to number 3 and be like, yo, I'm trying to go to sleep right now. I can't be considering things that I can't do anything about. I might as well, number 4, sleep on it. Easier said than done. Happy to admit that.
Yeah, that's, I don't know about that one.
Bro, has this guy ever had stress before?
I mean, yeah, he said, but that's was so easy for him to say.
We're gonna pocket that one. Okay.
All right. Well, number 5 is relax while you work. And I'm all for that. Relax as much as you can. A mini mantra I do carry around with me is take a deep breath in, release that deep breath out, and release with it all unnecessary tension. Let that unnecessary tension melt away. Deep breath in, deep breath out, and with it, unnecessary tension goes out. Now, it leaves room for some tension, but there's some tension that's necessary throughout the day. Also happy to admit that I can't turn into a blob. Right now, I'm at work. And those were the 5 tips to releasing or freeing your creative energy from Maxwell Maltz. Worth discussing, worth considering, worth having in mind. That sleep hack is, I don't know about that one, but yeah. So, okay, we took a listen, we took a look, we played around with this idea of awakening and cultivating our creative energy, freeing our creative energy with those 5 rules. Cool, thank you, Max. Next up, we're going to lean into the idea of happiness. And how obnoxious is it when people start to just be happy? I find it obnoxious.
Yeah, okay, so why are we talking about it?
I mean, bro, like, cool, but, like, aren't you doing that?
I know, I understand the irony here. I mean, it's good. It's like we can all, it's fine. Reminders.
Hey, I'm looking to build the best reality box I possibly can. Okay, so happiness is included.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
All right.
We begin with a quote on happiness.
Whoa, are we in a club right now? Oh, this is cool.
Oh, bro, nightlife. All right.
I mean, I don't normally go to places like this, but I can get down
If
with
this is
it.
happiness's beat, it slaps. It is a simple way to have a good time, but I'm here for it, suppose.
Quote, happiness is native to the human mind and its physical machine. We think better, perform better, feel better, and are healthier when we're happy. Even our physical sense organs work better. Russian psychologist K. Kekchiev tested people when they were thinking pleasant thoughts and unpleasant thoughts. He found that they were thinking pleasant thoughts, they could see better, taste, smell, hear better, and detect finer differences in touch. Unquote. Page 95.
And can you feel this sensation now?
Da, it is like you are blowing on my neck.
And after you think about this funny joke, how about now?
Da, yes, it smells like... What did you have for lunch? Is that salami?
Da. You must be happy.
Right. So, makes sense. When we're happier, we feel better. When we feel better, we kind of operate on a higher vibrational level. But really, brass tacks, we're not bogged down by a level of cortisol streaming through our body because we're not excessively stressed, which makes sense. We're more efficient at operating when we don't have extra stuff to deal with, which means that more of that bandwidth is available for accessing and understanding and transmuting that more subtle sensing information into usable information. Definitely salami. From page 96, happiness is not something earned or deserved. Happiness is not a moral issue any more than circulation of the blood is a moral issue. This is something that we struggle with. I know I did for quite some time. And it's not something I think, I've completed this task. This is a lifelong journey of discovering and unraveling and shining up our wonderful shiny selves, stripping away the excess of what society and culture laid on us to the point where our systems saw we needed to adapt and change to kind of make it through. Well, we're aware now on a whole other level to the point where we can start to look at this consciously and consciously make decisions instead of reacting as we did previously in order to muddle through. It's no longer about survival. Now we get to thrive. And we get to do it because we're happy. We're happy about being here. I certainly am happy I'm here with you. Another quote, happiness is not the reward of virtue. This is from Spinoza. But virtue itself. Nor do we delight in happiness because we restrain our lusts. The particular Disney villain from Hunchback of Notre Dame comes to mind. But on the contrary, Spinoza says, because we delight in it, therefore we are able to restrain them, from Spinoza's Ethics, and quoted from page 97. Because we delight in happiness, we are lighter and therefore it is easier for us to restrain our more lustful impulses. We are so delighted in happiness, we feel no great pull to give ourselves over to those lusts and fall out of consciousness. Heh, easier said than done, Spinoza.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just say that. It's just,
Jeez.
Bro, has he not turned on the internet? No, I mean, I get it. I get it. But these are just things to consider and hold within us as we move through our days.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, I mean, all right. I get it. No, I get it. It's good to think about.
what else you got?
Happiness comes from being and acting unselfishly as a natural accompaniment, also from page 97.
I don't know about that one
Yeah,
either.
man, look, I get the happiness thing, but it's like, no, don't tell me I have. I just be happy.
No, I mean, I don't think that's what he's saying.
All right, bro, then what is he saying?
He's saying that happiness is not that big of a deal. It's not this mountain that we must judge or circumscribe or categorize and divvy up and figure out. It's something actually native to us. And once we get into that happiness groove that is native to us, we know what that innate joy of life, that joie de vivre, feels
bring out
like.
the French. Okay.
Okay, now you all French. Let's see what you're going with now.
No, but it's far more within our bounds of being and existing to choose to be happy. Here, most people are about as happy as they make up their mind to be. That was a quote from Abraham Lincoln and from page 99.
Yes, okay, I see what you're saying.
That's a good one. Well, and here's another. The habit of being happy enables one to be freed or largely freed from the domination of outward conditions. Robert Louis Stevenson from page 100. And that reminds me of Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. The ultimate, or, one of the ultimate points that he was making in that book is like the space in between thought and action, the space in between moments of existence in which you continue. That is the space of true freedom, the choice that you have within you, right there to continue each moment, to strive, to live, to thrive, to seek a better next moment, to make the moment you're in now better than the one that it was before, even amidst very steep odds. And also, the idea that happiness is a habit, that you have got to choose to look down Happiness Avenue rather than Sad Face Lane.
Oh, okay, all right. I got you.
Okay, I mean, I get it.
Well, I'm going out Happiness Ave. Oh.
Here's another one. If a person wants to improve themselves, let them summon those finer feelings of benevolence and usefulness, which are called upon only now and then. Let them make a regular exercise, like swinging dumbbells. Let them gradually increase the time devoted to these psychical gymnastics, and at the end of the month, they will find the change in themselves surprising. From page 107, that's Professor Elmer Gates from Psycho-Cybernetics. Right? Happiness is a habit. Work it out. Make it a decision. And I've been up and up on this information for quite some time, and I'll admit, it's not like all of a sudden or after a little while, it's like, gee, I'm only happy. But what does happen is that, like those moments that Viktor Frankl talks about, you become that much more aware of the options and opportunities to choose whether or not I want to be snarky, funny, happy, quiet, sad, happy, joyful, jokey, depressed. You can start to see, I play some video games, so the radial menu that pops up of options to respond or interact with the world, you start to see a lot of options. You become conscious of more opportunities to make that decision and any other decision in those moments that are yours. That awareness, I think, is very, very helpful to making that decision over and over again, among a host of other positive aspects that awareness lends itself to, as we've discussed in previous episodes. Why are we discussing this now? Because we're also building reality boxes that can be the best for us, because we're also laying out the raw materials for our reality boxes. However you want to build yours, this information for me seems to be prime material to build reality boxes that were better than the ones that I had before. But these all left an impact on me, which is why I'm bringing them here for you.
It's good. Look, I appreciate
No, but
it.
I mean, just keep going. I mean, it's fine. It's not as like, It's not as cool as like what you talked about before.
Yeah, man, it's a little different.
It's good. No, we're laying a base, you guys. It's good.
I think it's good. I think it's fine.
I think if it is a choice, you have a choice to be happy. And I think that is beneficial. If you want to make that choice, it is completely up to you. But why not be aware of everything that you have opportunities to engage with? There is no problem in knowledge. To be exposed to this is a benefit. You will remember all these things that we talk about in your life.
Yes, okay.
Oh,
I mean, we're here.
Fine. Okay. Bon. Carry on.
Merci. So this one I like because it does make a nice use of the word success, ingredients to the success type personality. The S in success stands for a sense of direction. The U for understanding. First C is courage. The next C is charity. E is esteem. S, self-confidence. And S, self-acceptance. You need a sense of direction, right? You need to have an idea where you want to go in order to figure out what you want to be a success at. And as you aim for that success, that sense of direction will provide stepping stones in which you engage with to understand. And that understanding builds up information, skills, cultivates talents, so that you can then take the next step, which is going to require courage. To take all those skills and talents and learned experience and put them to use, and this is where charity to me makes sense, is problem solving. You want to solve people's problems, solve your own, solve others, but that's where the charity comes in. The charity is, oh, hey, I got an answer. I can actually make life a little bit better. And whether that's a joke, a sandwich in the moment for somebody, or simply holding your tongue, all of that takes courage and a sense of service and charity. Next up is esteem, particularly self-esteem. But esteem to be greater than you are now, and the self-esteem to understand that you have all the tools and talents within you to do this task that you are set out to do, which moves right into self-confidence. And the more use of your courage and the more active you are in your charity, the more self-confidence you will cultivate. Also to understand, last but not least, that we can't be all things to everyone. And so there's a self-acceptance and understanding you're a particular type of sunbeam. And that sunbeam is going to be great for some plant species. And it might be a little too hot, or it might not be hot enough for others. But that's okay. Your sunbeam is just right for more kind of plants than you could possibly imagine. Accept that, and you will light up the world in only the way your particular sunbeam can. Now, my companion quote to go with this ingredients list: no real success or genuine happiness is possible until a person gains some degree of self-acceptance. Success, which comes from self-expression, often eludes those who strive to be somebody, and often comes almost of its own accord when a person becomes willing to relax and be themselves. From page 124. That makes a lot of sense. That also very, very common message you hear when you're learning how to act at a higher level, rather than just putting on a role and portraying a character. They really want you to strip away a lot of what has been piled upon this idea of a stereotypical character type and allow you to act a lot more organically from your own emotional memory set, from your own perspective, filling in and shining through the stained glass window of this character you are portraying. But you can't do that until you know what it's like to be yourself. So there's a lot of self-examination and introspection and self-expression happening in that kind of training, which I was very fortunate to go through, and I'm thankful I can take that information and have it relate to information like this.
Yeah, that's unique.
Oh, bro, that's not every day, right? Now, moving on, in discussing this cultivation of a successful personality,
Maxwell Maltz makes the point, changing your self-image does not mean changing yourself or improving yourself, but changing your own mental picture, your own estimation or conception and realization of that self. The amazing results which follow from developing an adequate and realistic self-image come about not as a result of self-transformation, but from self-realization and self-revelation. Your self right now is what it always has been, and all that it ever can be. You didn't create it. You can't change it. You can, however, realize it and make it the most of what it already is by gaining a true mental picture of your actual self. There is no use in straining to be somebody. You are what you are. Now, you are somebody, not because you made $1 million or drive the biggest car on your block or you win at bridge, but because God created you in His own image. I'll say the universal creator, the all. Most of us, continuing on, are better, wiser, stronger, more competent now than we realize. And creating a better self-image does not create new abilities or talents or powers. It releases and utilizes them that are already there within you. That's what Ingo Swann says. We can change our personality, but not our basic self. Personality is a tool, an outlet, a focal point of the self that we use in dealing with the world. It is the sum total of our habits, our attitudes, learned skills, which we use as a method of expressing ourselves. And that's from pages 124 to 125. But yeah, Ingo Swann talks about that to a slightly finer degree where, we all have these innate powers already within us. The human power species is loaded with all of these skills and talents. All we got to do is realize they're already within us and begin to cultivate that which is already in us, to be the best somebody we already are. And in that process, it's going to get rough and tumble from time to time. How to handle the gauntlet of realizing the best of ourselves? Well, Maxwell Maltz has this tip: relaxation cushions emotional blows. A lot of this he's just slinging it out there. Just relax. Hey, relax. If I had met Maxwell Maltz at a party and he was just, throwing these at me, I'm like, dude, what kind of life do you live, bro? However, as obnoxious and annoying as some of these information chunks can be, it still holds weight. It makes sense. So anyway, relaxation cushions emotional blows. Just relax, bro. All right, bro. Just don't tell me what to do. How do we relax? I don't know. How do you relax? Maxwell Maltz says with the breath, breathe deep as if you were relaxed, and you will become so. Breathe deep. But you know what? That is a good baseline point for everything. When I'm stressed and pissed off when I'm driving, when I'm not enjoying my current environment for whatever preconceived notion I may be carrying with, or whatever interaction I may have just experienced, breathe deep. Engaging the diaphragm like that and purposefully willing your body to oxygenate, saying, nope, this moment, this breath, I am going to do what's best for myself and take in O2. And breathe deep. Because if you breathe deep, and actually, here, we'll do this. Andrew Huberman has a really interesting technique to kind of induce auto-relaxation. And it's breathing in as much as you can, and then breathing in just a little bit more, and then just releasing that breath fully as best as you can. So breathe in deep, then take in a little bit more breath and release. That seems to reset any kind of tension that might be unconsciously setting in due to whatever situation you may be experiencing. I use that often. I use that heavily in 2020. I'll say that. Letting go of grudges gives you a spiritual facelift. Quote, your do-it-yourself kit consists of relaxation of negative tensions to prevent scars, therapeutic forgiveness to remove old scars, providing yourself with a tough but not hard epidermis instead of a shell, creative living, a willingness to be a little vulnerable, and a nostalgia for the future instead of the past. Unquote. Page 167. That's nice. That's in reference to getting on with it. That's nice. I like that. That's a little kit we can carry around for ourselves to keep us moving in the direction of the nostalgia for the future. That term in and of itself, though, nostalgia for the future. Ooh, I like what's coming down the pike. Maxwell Maltz continues, insomnia, rudeness, they are often emotional carryovers. Emotional carryovers cause accidents, but calmness carries over too. Above all, he says, keep in mind and hammer it home to yourself that the key to the matter of whether you are disturbed or tranquil, fearful or composed, is not the external stimulus, whatever it may be, but your own response and reaction. Your own response is what makes you feel fearful, anxious, and insecure. If you don't respond at all, but just let the telephone ring, it's impossible for you to feel disturbed. Page 199. Easier said than done, Max. However, it is totally within our zone of control as to how we handle or respond to our external stimuli. And that is going to have more direct impetus on how we feel in any given moment. And he says, in this sense, you, human, are an actor, not a reactor. Also, practice without pressure can help you learn faster and more efficiently. You may be able to perform even better in a crisis situation because of it. That's page 208. Rehearsal works. As an example, willfully engaging in small talk with the cash register, with retail employees, with people you're standing in line with, purposefully pursuing small talk with pleasant vibes in the elevator, going up the stairs, in the lunchroom. Just do it. Do it and be chill about it, but do it consciously and see how easy it gets. See how good you get at being like, hey, how you doing? Ooh, that's a nice shirt. And then see how easy it is for you to engage in other kinds of conversation. Turns out you've become quite the conversationalist.
Yeah, no, that works.
Oh, bro, like on the beach? Dude, it's so much better than just being stared at. Continuing on with the theme of rehearsal and where to sit your attention, Maxwell Maltz has a quote from a professional athlete from page 215, quote, I always think about what I'm going to do and what I want to happen, he said, instead of what the batter is going to do or what may happen to me. And another from 216, the secret lies in the attitude of fearlessly accepting the challenge and confidently expending our strength. In other words, no matter what happens, I can handle it. Yes, you can.
Yes, I
I'm
can.
getting pumped, bro.
I mean, what do you got to lose?
Yes, good. Now, this perspective I like quite a bit because it applied absolutely all of the time when you had to do auditions or be out on stage, improv for sure. This one's great. This from page 216 as well. This from an individual researching emotion. Quote, Lecky has said that the purpose of emotion is reinforcement or additional strength rather than to serve as a sign of weakness. He believed that there was really only one basic emotion, excitement, and that excitement manifests itself as fear, anger, courage, etc. Depending on our own inner goals at the time, whether we are inwardly organized to conquer a problem, run away from it, or destroy it, or deny it. The real problem is not to control emotion, but to control the choice of which tendency shall receive emotional reinforcement. Prescott Lecky, Self-Consistency, A Theory of Personality, from the New York Island Press. If your intention or your attitude or goal is to go forward, if it is to make the most of a crisis situation and win out in spite of it, then the excitement of the occasion will reinforce this tendency. It will give you more courage, more strength to go forward. If you lose sight of your original goal and your attitude goal becomes one of running away from the crises, of seeking to somehow get past it by evading it, this running away tendency will also be reinforced, and you will experience fear and anxiety. Page 216. That's good. That's a real good reality box right there. And that's very interesting. So every so often I like to watch people recount their experiences of NDEs, near-death experiences. And this one individual was saying that when they were discussing how confusing life on Earth seemed to be, how an all-loving God could create a world in which all this suffering and pain was existing in, the response from this being guiding this individual through their near-death experience said, oh, well, you may not actually have the right understanding of what good is. And this being went on to explain that being good is moving forward in whatever increments you possibly can. Moving forward in any productive, positive way. That's what good is. And so some circumstances provide, pretty shitty circumstances. So some circumstances are awful. But moving through those circumstances creates an enormous amount of good, according to this individual's experience, hearing what good is. And so I mention that because this one mindset here of choosing where your attention is going to go, what you're going to emotionally reinforce, this idea of making the best of a bad situation or crisis situation, of leaning into it in going forward. If your intention or your attitude and your goal is to go forward, then you are doing good. You are actually producing good in this world. As long as you're moving forward, you're doing good. And that has actually helped me recently, especially when I come home at the end of the day and I'm tired and I don't want to do anything else. And I know I have responsibilities or goals that I've set for myself. If I just keep moving forward in the direction of that goal, I know I'm doing good. I know it's a weird, improper grammar.
Yes, it is difficult to listen to, but I'm following along.
I'm with you. Yeah, I get it. You're doing good.
Yeah, no, we're good. Thanks, French guy.
Bon. But here, back to this idea of the one basic emotion of being excitement. Maxwell Maltz says, experienced actors know that this feeling of excitement just before a performance is a good token. Many of them deliberately work themselves up emotionally just before going on stage. True? Trainers also know that a horse which becomes nervous or spirited just before a race will perform better than usual. The term spirited is a good one. The excitement that you feel just before a crisis situation is an infusion of spirit and should be interpreted by you. From page 218. This one also, I love this as a reality box I hold on to. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could possibly happen if I fail? Rather than responding automatically, blindly, and irrationally. What have you got to lose? What's the worst that could happen? Also, this is a really nice perspective. Remember that the key to any crisis situation is you. Boy, if everybody walked around with that idea, how much more self-agency we would carry with us. And now here, our final chunk, this idea of setting up our machinery for success. Maxwell Maltz says, and if there's one simple secret to the operation of your unconscious creative mechanism, it's this. Call up, capture, and evoke the feeling of success. When you feel successful and self-confident, you will act successfully. When the feeling is strong, you can literally do no wrong. Unquote. I didn't even write that on purpose. That's the way it's written, page 225. When you feel successful and self-confident, you will act successfully. When the feeling is strong, you can literally do no wrong. I like it. Max moves on and says, Dr. Eccles says the profusion of interconnections among the cells of the gray matter in the brain is beyond all imagination. It is ultimately so comprehensive that the whole cortex can be thought of as one great unit of integrated activity. If we now persist in regarding the brain as a machine, then we must say that it is by far the most complicated machine in existence. We're tempted to say that it is infinitely more complicated than the most complex man-made machines, the electrical computers. This from the Physiology of Imagination, Scientific American, September 1958. And in discussing setting ourselves up for success, if you can consciously recall that feeling of what it felt like when you got it done, when you set a task out, you hit it, you check that box off because you were a success. Maxwell gives us this: if you can somehow furnish the spark to bring that action pattern into life or replay it, it will execute itself. And all you have to do is swing the club and let nature take its course. From page 231. But in other words, look, if you did this thing over here, right? You did this thing and you did it. You know what that feels like. Well, let's see if we can take that and do it over here. And it may be a little bit different, but you know what that feels like. So carry that feeling over. Recognize that you went from start to finish. You were able to figure it out. That feels pretty good. That feeling of, oh yeah, I was able to, well, I can do that over here too.
That's good. I can take it from here and
So,
move it
so
over
you're
there.
saying like if I'm cool at surfing, I could actually like figure out my taxes?
I mean, like, I
Bro.
get it, like, it's a good mindset, but
No, hold on. No, hey. What's stopping you from trying it?
yeah, okay.
I'm getting pumped up now, bro. All right. Get amped. I love it. Recall, if you can do the one thing, you can do the other. And you're going to do it in the way that you're going to do it, not like anybody else. So don't try to be somebody else. Just recognize you've got everything you need already within you. And now Maxwell makes sure to cover all the bases because we have this quote. First of all, it is important to understand that failure feelings, fear, anxiety, lack of self-confidence, do not spring from some heavenly oracle. They are not written in the stars. They are not holy gospel, nor are they intimations of a set and decided fate, which means that failure is decreed and decided. They originate from your own mind. They are indicative only of attitudes of mind within you, not of external facts which are rigged against you. They mean only that you are underestimating your own abilities, overestimating and exaggerating the nature of the difficulty before you, and that you are reactivating memories of past failures rather than memories of past successes. This is all that they mean and all that they signify. They do not pertain to or represent the truth concerning future events, but only your own mental attitude about that future event. From page 236. So if you find yourself enraptured by negative feelings, consider what you're giving attention to and consider, yes, maybe I suck hard at this over here, but you know what I don't suck hard at? Over here, this thing over here, I'm actually okay at. And you know, if I can learn to be okay at that, I can learn to not suck so hard over here. This little quote I like here because it ties back to what we just went through with Ingo Swann's book. Quote, whatever works to make more of this life force and to assume that whatever opens to us a greater influx of life stuff, whatever helps us utilize it better, literally helps us all over. From page 249. So cultivating our subtle senses by engaging and expanding our awareness of that life stuff will literally help us all over. That in a nutshell is why I am doing this whole thing. Because I seriously think that just like a 1 to 2% increase in awareness of humanity as a whole, getting into this information and really stretching our attention beyond the edges of our perceived map to defog those areas just a little bit more, I absolutely think that will help humanity as a species all over. And I can think of no more important thing to discuss. To close us out, Maxwell Maltz gives us a recounting of Dr. John Schindler's 6 basic needs of every human being from Schindler's book, How to Live 365 Days a Year. The 6 needs are: 1, the need for love; 2, the need for security; 3, the need for creative expression; 4, the need for recognition; 5, the need for new experiences; 6, the need for self-esteem or confidence. These are similar to, but a little bit rearranged from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But it's the same basic concept. And when we get a little bit more into it, you could say number 1, primarily first, is the need for self-love. We can only love others as much as we love ourselves, so we need to love ourselves. And 2, that need for security. Hey, I get it. It's a wacky world right now. And that feeling of security seems like sand slipping through our fingers. It seems a little bit less than easily securable at the moment. But when times of great tumult and change are upon us, so too are those same times of great opportunity. So it may feel like a freaky time, but there's no better time to go out and get it. However, I get that feeling of that need for security is difficult to feel at the moment. Number 3, need for creative expression. You gotta be me, Sammy Davis Jr.
I gotta be me. Hey, babe.
You gotta do it your way, Frank Sinatra. And really now these things begin to stack a little bit, because once you love yourself, you'll find just what you need in particular for that feeling of security. Once you've got a little bit of that, or in your search for that, in doing it your way, you will be creatively expressing and continuously expressing creatively more and more as you go through this process of discovering and cultivating you and all that you are. You do it enough, you lean into it enough, you're going to start to get recognized for it. And through that recognition, you will begin to then be paired with new experiences. You've reached that new plateau, and that plateau leads you to different views and vistas in which you can then reach out for new experiences from. Through this entire experience, you will be gaining confidence in yourself, and so cultivating that self-esteem. That kind of makes this whole thing self-reinforcing and a very exciting experience to engage in. So I know this little episode was different from the past. We'll be getting back into some crazier techniques and stuff soon. But I wanted to lay down just another way to view how we can best consider ourselves and work with ourselves in stretching our awareness when it comes to these very wild times we find ourselves in. To build a strong foundation, to build the best kind of reality boxes for us, we got to know what kind of ingredients we're working with, right? We got to know what kind of materials we've got at our disposal. And so here we are. Here are some pretty solid materials to work with when it comes to building boxes of reality in which we are to engage reality with and through. I found this book interesting enough to pull these quotes. I appreciate you coming along for the ride. We'll be building reality boxes with all kinds of techniques as we move forward. But as always, thanks for hanging. It's a pleasure. More power to you. And I'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks for hanging with Mr. Douglas. You know, I like that episode. Yeah, it was a little different, but...
Come on, we're going.
Are we going?
Yeah, let's get something to eat.
All right. Hey, tell me more about your acting classes.
Oh, sure, they were wild. We had an entire class dedicated to movement, just figuring out how to move. Pretty fantastic.
That does sound fantastic.